Hello and welcome to this week's webinar, which is TD Snap Focus on the Text Page Sets. So my name is Jessica Kennedy and I am the Queensland rep for Link Assistive. I'm a speech pathologist with a decade's experience supporting clients who use AAC and assistive technology solutions. And this webinar is aiming to provide you with an overview of the text page sets that are available within the TD Snap software. So TD Snap is the latest software from Tobii Dynavox, and it's available on a range of hardware options, including both iOS and Windows platforms. So you can get TD Snap for a standard iPad or Windows 10 tablet, and it's also available on Tobii Dynavox's full range of dedicated devices, including the Indie, i110, and the i-series. The Snap software has a range of page sets available, and today we're going to be focusing on the text page set. But there are webinars that have either been completed already or are coming up on each of these page sets individually. If you want to learn more about them, then head to the Link Assistive website to our recorded webinars section. So firstly, just looking at the key features of the text page set within TD Snap. So this is the page set that's been designed for literate individuals who don't need symbols to support their communication. It allows you to save phrases for efficient communication, and it's designed to be easy for the user themselves to save new messages for future use. There are a range of keyboard options, which all have word prediction and editing tools embedded within them. And there's also a range of pre-made pages for access to smart assistants, computer control, and remote control as well. So we will go through all of these features in a little bit more detail. The TD Snap software allows for a lot of flexibility around the access method that the person is using, and which access method you choose will be dependent on the person's individual skills. So you can access TD Snap through touch, so directly touching the screen. There are a number of settings that you can adjust to support somebody with touch access, including touch enter and touch exit options. You can use a mouse or mouse alternative, including a head mouse within TD Snap. You could access TD Snap through eye gaze if you've got an appropriate hardware option with an eye gaze camera. And you can also use switch access if needed as well. So obviously your specific access options are going to vary depending on the hardware or the specific device that you're using. And as I said, the person's skills. So if you aren't too sure about what access method might be most helpful, then you would be looking at completing an assessment with the person to determine that. And if you wanted to know a little bit more about access and positioning, we do have an introduction to access and positioning webinar that was presented by our OT Jade, and that's available on the recorded webinars section of the website. So you could go there to get a little bit of an intro and find out a little bit more. But basically the TD Snap text page set can be accessed through the whole range of access methods that are currently available. So let's start by having a look at the communication tools that are available within the text page set. So the first tool that we'll talk about is Quickfires, and these are brief messages used to engage other people. They're basically interjections that you use across a range of topics and different environments. So you might use them to gain attention, to ask a quick question, or to make a quick comment. They're basically short phrases that aren't, topic specific. So for example, you might use a social phrase or convention like, yes, no, I don't know, those sorts of things. Hi, bye, thank you. You might use a phrase that you need really quick access to in an emergency situation, or this page will also give you phrases that support communication repair. So like, hang on, I'm typing, those sorts of things. So they're the types of communication tools that are available within Quickfires. And Quickfires is your default home page within your TD Snap text page set as well. So this is the screen that will automatically come up as your home page when you first launch and open TD Snap text. Then you have access to the phrases page. And so this page contains your pre-stored messages organized into different categories. And they're designed to allow you to communicate quickly and efficiently without having to spell out an entire message. There are general categories with a few sample messages provided within each of these categories pre-made, but you are encouraged to modify and add your own categories and messages to suit the needs of the individual that you are working with. So you can see that there's some common topics like bathroom, events and news, my info, those types of categories are created for you, and then within these folders you'll have a handful of messages that have been pre-stored, and then lots and lots of space to add your own custom messages and to add your own custom topics as well. There is, of course, access to a keyboard that allows creation of new messages where you type out and spell your message. This is supported with word prediction. You can see that in the blue buttons running across the top line. They are your predictive text buttons. So as you start to type, you'll get suggested words to complete that text and hopefully speed up your typing. A QWERTY keyboard is the default keyboard, but there are alphabetic and frequency keyboards available as well. And each keyboard also has an edit text option, so you can see that in the bottom right-hand corner on your screen, and that allows you to edit text using your whole range of alternate access methods. So if you make a mistake, you want to, and you need to move the cursor back and delete one letter, you can do that via any access method through the edit text feature. And our final tool is a notes space. So this is basically space to save information and messages that you have typed and yet to save for future use. So it's basically for you to pre-write and store messages that you might not require ongoing long term, but that might be important for a specific purpose right now. So for example, describing an event or preparing question and answers for an appointment that you have coming up. So you've got plenty of space here to save some longer chunks of text in your notes section. The TD Snap page set then also has a dashboard, and this is where you'll find your operational buttons like your volume control, your battery status, your date and your time, as well as your sort of non-communication tools like Google Assistant, Pages, launch to computer control, launching Mirror for Android, your AccessIt and your remotes options, and we'll go through the features of each of those, but you'll find the links to there within the dashboard of the TD Snap text page set. And then finally, you will have noticed as we scrolled through on the left-hand side, you have this consistent toolbar that shows up across each of the different pages. And that basically allows the person to move easily between the different communication tools from anywhere within the app without scrolling. So that they're able to pick and choose which communication tools are going to be most useful at that exact moment for them, and then move between them quickly. You'll also notice that there is space to add a rest function here for your eye gaze users. So you can add a pause eye gaze or rest eye gaze function at the bottom of the toolbar if your individual is using eye gaze access. One of the key features of the TD Snap text page set is this copy to button. And this is available on the notes, phrases, and quickfires page. And it allows the person to save and reuse text that they've typed into the message window. So it's a fast way to program messages on a page without having to go into the full edit mode. And this means that it's accessible using any access method, which means that users can be independent in adding messages into any of these tools that we've spoken through. So they don't need to wait for somebody else to do programming on their system for them, which is really important. Alternatively, you can use the standard TD Snap editing function to edit each of the pages. So this might be something that you do initially to set up TD Snap text for an individual when you're making a lot of changes, when you're first starting out. This can be a more efficient way to add and customize the vocabulary, especially if you're able to connect a keyboard to the device so that you can type the changes that you need to make rather than using the on-screen keyboard. So to edit within TD Snap, you will open the settings menu using the cog and pencil in the top right corner to bring up your edit mode. You'll make sure that the button option is highlighted. You will select the button that you want to edit and enter the label and the message. So the label is what's written on the button and the message is what is spoken aloud. So this will probably be the same for our literate users, but you might want to reduce the words that are written on the screen for individuals with vision difficulty, so you can make label and message different if you need to. You can also adjust the button color, the border, the font, and the layout of the button using the Style tab down the left-hand side of the page. And of course, you can edit actions of the button to change what happens when the button is selected if you need to do that. So if you want some more information about editing within TD Snap as a software, you can go and check out our TD Snap overview webinar for a more detailed explanation of editing. So I'm just going to bring up the TD Snap software for us to have a look at, and we can explore some of the features that I just spoke about. So I'm just opening that up for us. I will share my screen with you. Okay, so as I mentioned, when you first open up TD Snap, you will come to the Quickfires page, and you'll see that each of the messages on the Quickfires page is a short phrase or single word, and when I select the button,
I need help,
it will speak that phrase aloud. I can go to the toolbar down the side to then open up my phrases. When I go into a phrase like events and news, you'll see a handful of pre-programmed phrases relating to this topic.
Did you hear the news? What's going on today?
And then a lot of space for you to add in custom phrases for the person as well. Then we get to our keyboard, and this is where the person can create their own individual and unique messages. So they can type. You can turn off this auditory feedback as well, so you don't need to have it speaking aloud as the person's typing if that's preferred.
Afternoon.
And then once you've got a message sitting up in your message window here, you can go back to another page, and I'll just show you how to use the copy to button function. So you would type your message out using your keyboard, then you would go copy to button. You'd select the blank space that you wanted to put that button into, and then you would hit accept. And now that message that I've typed is available within my Quickfires area whenever I want to use that message. And finally, our notes section. So this is blank at the moment, but this is where you could put longer chunks of text to be used and stored for later. And finally, our dashboard. So I'm going to go through what each of these features are through our PowerPoint. So I'll just reopen our PowerPoint and we can carry on. So one of the features of TD Snap Text that is useful for people outside of just being an AAC or communication tool is the pre-made page sets for integration with smart assistants. So smart assistants are hands-free speakers that can be controlled by using voice. And so you can also control them using a synthesized voice, like what is produced through TD Snap. So you can control an Alexa or a Google Home using the TD Snap voice. And you've got a series of pre-made pages designed for use with Google Assistant, Alexa, and also Siri. So in order to use this effectively, then the person is going to have to own a Google Home or an Alexa or an iOS device with Siri capability separately, but then they will be able to use TD Snap to control those things using their voice. And so what we've got is some pre-programmed phrases. Like you can see here, the Siri page has just commonly used things that you might like to ask and tell Siri, like, hey Siri, what's in the news? Hey Siri, what's the weather? So they're already programmed in for you, but then you've got space to add in some custom commands as well. And that's the same across each of the different pages. So that's a nice feature that's available and already created for you within TD Snap Text. For eye gaze users, there is also a quick launch of the computer control software through the dashboard as well. Obviously, you need compatible hardware with an eye gaze device and computer control software. That's what will come installed with any of the Tobii Dynavox devices. But as long as you've got that, then you can launch computer control through TD Snap. So computer control is software that gives full mouse and keyboard functions via eye gaze to the user. It uses an interaction first selection method. So basically the individual needs to select the on-screen object they want to interact with and then choose what they want to do with it. So they can choose to left click, double click, right click, scroll, click and drag, or they can use an adjust target feature that allows them to zoom in and get some real precision on small targets as well. So basically, the idea of computer control is that it gives a person, a lot of independence and use of just mainstream standard computer functions like email, browsing standard web pages, using Word, Excel, all of those sorts of things. If you're not familiar with computer control and you want to learn more about that, then you can follow the link on the screen. There's also a link at the end in the resources to learn more about computer control as software, but just know that you can launch directly from TD Snap into computer control easily, which is a nice feature for some of our users. Another feature that's available, and there's a launch already created within TD Snap Text dashboard, is the mirror for Android. So this is a feature that allows you to access your Android smartphone or tablet, again, using your eye gaze device. So you will need a compatible hardware, eye gaze device with computer control, and also an Android smartphone or tablet. And what you'll have to do is connect your Android device via USB to your eye gaze device and then install the mirror for Android software. And once you've done that, then you use computer control to interact with your Android device. And then you can use your Android device for its normal functions. So calling, texting, using apps, games, all those sorts of things. So there's some good instructions for setting that up if that is a tool that would be helpful for the person that you're working with to be able to quickly launch that through TD Snap. Another, I guess, way of giving people some access to mainstream computer functions is through the AccessIt accessory. So this is a USB-based accessory that basically gives you control over a computer. So what you do is you plug the USB into your existing computer and it then connects via Bluetooth, and it allows TD Snap to send keystrokes and mouse moves to your Windows computer. So it allows you to use an alternate access method like eye gaze or switching to control an external computer. And by doing that, you've got the opportunity to surf the web, go onto Facebook, do some web browsing and emails and things like that. So the text-based page set within TD Snap has some pre-made pages for a range of computer functions that you could access through this AccessIt or AccessIt accessory. So it's got pre-made pages for YouTube, for Facebook, for web browser, Word, Gmail, and WhatsApp. So, you know, some of those key features have already been created for you. All you'll need to do is get this extra USB accessory and then connect it to the person's existing computer. And finally, there are pre-made page sets for setting up some IR environmental controls. So if you have, again, if the device that you're using is compatible with IR, then you can use the pre-made pages for common remotes like TV remote, DVD remote, CD player, or your cable TV remote, and link those up to be able to access them through TD Snap as well. And just a final kind of consideration, often in this population of progressive neurological conditions is around message banking. So message banking is a way to preserve your natural voice before you develop significant speech difficulties. And it basically involves creating digital recordings of your voice, speaking words, phrases, and stories, and then uploading them and importing them and using them with your AAC system. So the My Tobii Dynavox website gives you a free place to store, organize and manage these recorded messages. And then you're able to download these and use them with TD Snap, including obviously in these text page sets. So basically you plan and record your messages, you upload them to the My Tobii Dynavox message bank, and then when you're ready to use them, you will create a TD Snap bundle of those messages and import them into your TD Snap text page set. So there are full detailed instructions on this process available online via the link here and also provided at the end, but just be aware that that is a free option that's available for users of TD Snap. So finally, we'll finish up by just providing you with a few helpful resources. So the TD Snap text training cards are an excellent resource. They're basically created to be very user-friendly for caregivers and for clients. So you're able to basically give them a copy of these training cards to familiarize the caregiver and the user with TD Snap text. So it overviews everything that we went through today and then gives them some tutorial activities to get them practicing and using some of the features that we've discussed. So that's really helpful. Would definitely encourage you to access and make use of that resource. Tobii Dynavox has also got a bundle of low-tech communication boards for literate users freely available on their website as well. So that's always something to think about, making sure that you've got a low-tech backup for these literate users. So feel free to download and make use of some low-tech communication boards. Then there's plenty of resources and support available through My Tobii Dynavox, including training webinars and support documentation. You can also find a lot of useful resources on the Tobii Dynavox community Facebook group as well. And finally, here are just some links to some of the earlier resources related to some of those specific tools that I mentioned earlier, like message banking, Mirror for Android, and computer control. So hopefully that helps to give you a bit of an introduction into TD Snap text page sets. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us at Link Assistive. You can phone us or email us on the contact details on your screen. Yeah, feel free to jump on our website and explore some of the past webinars that we've got, as well as our support resources that are available. Check out our Facebook page or sign up for our newsletter to hear about further trainings and upcoming events. Thank you very much.